You're watching Pyro Media Network.
I could be running around chasing you, but I won't. Cause I got better things to do. Rather spend my precious time chasing somebody who loves me too. If I got $1 for every time you slam the door, I would be the richest girl alive. If you hadn't run away every time I asked you stay, you would sleep right next to me tonight. But you didn't know me, all you wanted was a game.
Hello, Pyro Media family. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience with us is fruitful. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. And we do hope you consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
Well, hello. Happy Friday, Junior. I'm Nicole D. Vick. Welcome to Nicole D. Vick Live. So happy to have you here. It's a beautiful day, beautiful evening. I'm just excited to be going into the weekend. And today I have a great episode for you. Super excited. The woman that is coming on tonight is Goals. Every time I see her Facebook post, I'm like, that will be me one day. And let me get my coins together and whatnot. Before we get into that, just some current events, some stuff that I want to talk about because I've been seeing things on, the news, social media. There's a lot of protests going on at various college campuses across the United States. There was a protest at my school, USC, yesterday. Not sure what's happening today. I haven't seen anything, but standing in solidarity. I'm just gonna say it. Solidarity. Listen, wrong is wrong. Right? People are dying and it ain't right. So standing in solidarity with these young people who feel compelled to stand up for what they believe in. And so really supportive of that. So the interesting thing that happened though, when the protest happened at USC yesterday, I got scared and I even got some text messages from some people because they were like, watch, they gonna shut that graduation down because we graduate in a couple of weeks. And I was like, man, but at end, so we did hear today the large commencement exercise that happens on Friday will be canceled. So USC, of course, is a collection of colleges, right? There's School of Medicine, there's School of journalism, right? So those individual graduations will happen throughout graduation week, but the big one where everybody goes is huge, like thousands and thousands of people. That one will be closed or canceled. So I wasn't going to that one no way because it started way early in the morning. But, I feel bad because I think one of the reasons why the protests started or happened at USC was because the valedictorian that they selected, so you heard what I said, they decided that she wasn't going to be able to give her speech. And I was so confused that they said safety and security reasons. And I was like, well, I mean, there's ways to do things to ensure safety. I mean, someone made a good point. Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and their children were at USC and it was no problem. So what's going on? But anyway, it's a lot happening. I'm very proud of young people that are like compelled to stand up and speak out, put their lives on the line, their safety on the line, their diplomas on the line, and whatever else to stand up for what is right. So just want to share that. The other thing I'll say about school, Monday, so today is Thursday, Monday, I defend my dissertation. And I don't even know how I'm supposed to feel because I'm like, wait a minute. And so I was like, I need to sit down over the weekend and get myself together because, they're going to ask questions and I got to be ready for that. The good side is I've been in this data so much that, of course, I know the answers, right? I know what's in the research, but it still can be potentially nerve-wracking, right? To be like, deer in the headlights moment. So I'm excited, but I'm also kind of like, what's going to happen? So that's really cool. And then, like I said, graduation for us is May 8th, 3:00. I'm gonna put my, my whole outfit on. Y'all seen the pictures, and I'm fixed to be ready. It's gonna be a great time. All right, so let's pivot to tonight's conversation. This is the final episode of Travel as Liberation. I told y'all, for people that look like me and our ancestors, international travel, their first foray out of the country was against their will, right, into servitude. And I feel like in this present day and time, a lot of us have gotten into travel, specifically international travel, as a way, to me, I see it as a way of closing that loop. Like our ancestors came here against their will, but now we can move about in ways that can be very liberating for us, show us a new way of living. Some of us move out of the country and stay away. We don't stay in the United States. So all of those sort of ways that we move about have been of interest to me of late. I'm a late travel bloomer, late bloomer traveler, however you want to say that. And so I've been really intrigued about how people move and travel and what inspired them to do so. So tonight I have a special guest. This is someone that I forgot. We'll talk about how we met, so I won't say that. But as I started to follow her on social media, I'm like, hold on, like, to me, and this is my perception, right, of course, which may not be the reality, I'm like, she always gone. And I love that. I'm like, wait, she was here the other day. Now she over here. And then now she's in this country. And then she's in this country. And I'm like, one day, who please one day let that be me. Let me get my little pension, my little coins together so that I can travel the world. So I'm really, really excited to have her on. Let me just go ahead and read her bio and then we can actually just jump right in because I'm excited. So this is going to be great. I am going to be speaking this evening with Arnetta Mack. She is a respected leader in visual communications and community engagement. She is the owner of Mack Enterprises Unlimited, using dynamic visual and graphic design alongside with immersive community events to empower small businesses, nonprofit organizations, and political and social campaigns. She's a commissioner for the Los Angeles County Small Business Commission. She is a board member of the LA South Chamber of Commerce. And I think that's where I probably saw her first, when I first kind of came into contact with her, and the Fannie Lou Hamer Institute, to name a few. Beyond her multifaceted roles, she's a seasoned traveler. So like I said, we need to be sitting at her knee, like, how you do this, urging those around her to embrace new cultures and places. I'm not going to read the rest of it because I feel like that's going to tell too much, and we can kind of cover this in the interview. But I want to bring on Miss Arnetta. Come on in.
Hey.
Well, we both say it at the same time.
Hi, so glad to be here. Thank you.
I am so happy to have you, and I'm glad when I asked you said yes, because you could have been like, next, like, please come on. I don't know if you heard me in the green room, but one of the things that I said is I feel like every time I come across your post, you are somewhere, not here, you be somewhere else. And some people would be like, she always gone, but to me, I'm like, yes, she always gone, and that's a good thing. I really love to see that, and I want to get into more about why you travel and all that good stuff. But let's first talk about, do you remember how we met? Because I never know how I meet people. Do you remember?
Yeah. You know what? I feel like it was a Law Pie connection.
Must have been.
You came through Law Pie. Okay, yes. I came through early on, like 2008. So LAWPI
Okay.
is the Los Angeles African American Women's Public Policy Institute, a program we attended at USC. So I think through that network, I feel like that's where we first connected.
Yeah, I think so. And
Yes.
and you know what else too? You have been publishing those books. I'm gonna call them
Yes.
anthologies because
Yes.
people can contribute their stories about Black history. I think is it
Right.
specific to Los Angeles? Can you
No,
share
it's
it with
not at
us?
all. Not at all. Yeah, and you contributed. I don't know if you contributed to the first or second edition. So yeah, that was wonderful. An annual sharing our own stories called The Roads We Travel, and it's a compilation of, I just asked folks around me in my network, give me one photo and 75 words, and these are typically historical photos from our families, and it just came out of a need to celebrate who we are and our journey through life and our
Yeah.
ancestors, giving them their props from what
And
they
it was
survived.
amazing because I know you also at one point, I think, I don't remember which version, to your point, I don't remember, but you had done like a Zoom call and we all got on
Yes.
together and were able to
Yes.
share. And so I really
Yeah.
love that. And I don't know if you've watched any of my episodes, but I talk a lot about my ancestors. I talk a lot about things like the Green Book. So when you say your book is titled The Road that We've Traveled, and
Yes.
to me, it's all aligned. And it's amazing
It
to
is.
kind of get to that point where like, wait, these things are starting to kind of make sense and
Right.
align. So that's amazing. Are you going to do another one?
I am. As a matter of fact, I got the opportunity this year. One of my contributors from a previous year, she actually does a genealogy class in Pasadena. So they took on the project of compiling the Black stories from Pasadena. And she said, Arnetta, we want you to do it. We want you to do the same format. And it's just focused on Black Pasadena. So that's the book that's going to happen this year.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And now that you said that, I'm like, wait, can she teach us about how to figure out to go down our line as far as genealogy?
That's what she does. I'll connect you with her.
Yeah, I need that. I need that. Because ancestry has been really helpful, but I got to a wall, like, okay, I can't go no further back. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm interested in figuring that out, but such an amazing thing. All right. So my first travel question for you. So from this month, these episodes for me have been about this whole idea of our ancestors. Their first travel out of their home country was against their will. They didn't have a choice. They were sent into servitude, right? Now, in today's time, we're relatively free, relatively, right? And we can move about. And I see our ability to travel as a way of liberating ourselves. And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about what I just said. Any thoughts about that?
When I read that, the way you framed it, I hadn't really thought about it that way. That, their first trip across the water was against their will into bondage, right? None of them were over there dreaming about coming to America at all, right? Never crossed their minds, but they were forced into, might as well have been a trip to hell. It might as, literally. But you're right. Now we're in a new place. We can travel freely. And what has grounded me in embracing travel is this notion. And I tell folks this, and it applies to the small scenarios all the way to the big ones. Sometimes you have to forsake your routine for the rare.
Oh,
for the rare. And for a lot of us, travel that's that rare thing. Set it aside if you embrace it. And that in itself, just the notion of that is liberating. Just the notion of just being able to set aside the routine for the rare.
Yes. You can say, I mean, we could just, in the show because that is so powerful. That is so powerful. What initially sparked your passion for traveling, and has it evolved over time?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say my initial spark was not necessarily for traveling, but for exploring. And that came as a child with my dad. And it's interesting. We grew up in Watts on 106 and Central Avenue in South Central Los Angeles is what we called it then. And, you know, my dad worked for the state. My mom was stay-at-home mom for a while. Then she got into nursing. And growing up, they would tell us they took one plane trip. They were married 35 years. They took one plane trip together, and it was a trip to San Francisco. And that was their big trip of their marriage, this trip to San Francisco where they ate squab and, you know, saw the bridge, right? So that was their big trip. But we were always doing these little road trips. He would put us in the car. We had a gold Cadillac. And then he eventually got a van, one of those, we call them bubble top vans. And we'd be everywhere. And he had this term. He would say, come on, you guys, let's go progging. I didn't even know progging was a real word. That was just my daddy's term. Let's go progging. And in recent years, I looked it up. It's actually a foreign word. It means to go scurrying for food or something like that. It's funny, but he had that word in his mind, and that's what he would say. Let's go progging. So he'd take us to beaches. We'd go camping. We took a road trip down to Texas, down through to New Orleans, and going to parks, lakes. So we were always exploring. And for us, coming from Watts, going across town to MacArthur Park or a park in Torrance, that was like going to the other side of the world. It was just such a grand adventure. So I think from that started it, just about being able to just get up and go and explore and embrace something new. So fast forward, I didn't take my first flight until I was in college in the late 80s. That was the first time I got on a plane. It was like spring break. And me and a friend went to Puerto Vallarta. And had a good time. And from there, during college breaks, I started traveling back and forth to Mexico, went to the Bahamas several times, and then, started doing some more domestic flying and really just kind of found a rhythm with flying. Yeah. And traveling. So that started it.
Amazing. And I think, listening to you talk about your dad and how he was like, okay, let's go here, let's go there, how important it is for parents to really create that spark in their children, whatever it is. It could have been art, it could have been music. And in this case, it was, let's go explore, and sort of building that sort of that characteristic in you of curiosity. Well, what's over here? Let's go over there. Let's see what this is, and being open to that, I think, is amazing. So kudos to dad. Dad did good.
He's gone. They're both gone now, but yes, he did it.
Yes. So do you have a favorite destination with all of your travel experiences? And if you do, what makes it special to you?
Okay. So the continent of Africa is huge, right? At times we just say Africa, but it's 54 countries there. So definitely on the continent. And let me just say that I have 2 kids. They're both adults now. And my first trip to Africa was exactly 20 years ago. In 2004. My son was a 4th grader at his school, and he went to a school that took the 4th grade students on an international trip every other year. That particular year in 2004, the trip was Senegal and the Gambia. I volunteered to be the chaperone. So I, had that experience with my 4th grade son, and it was amazing. So since that time, I visited Africa several times, and I would have to say that my favorite destination is Egypt. I think, did we lose Nicole? Let me pause for a minute. Oh, I'll just pause and wait and see if she gets back in. Okay. All right. She'll be rejoining. So my favorite destination is definitely Egypt. And I had the opportunity to visit Egypt right at the end of the pandemic. The pandemic was kind of still in effect because we had to do the COVID testing going over there, the testing on the way back, and showing all the cards and everything. But the antiquities there and just being blown away by the temples, the pyramids, the Sphinx, the Nubian village, going up and down the Nile River. It was just absolutely amazing. It was breathtaking. It was an experience in a place where pages from books that I had read just came alive, and I was truly just, my mind was blown. That was a family trip, actually. My daughter, who was in her early 20s at the time, came along, my sister, her husband, and a nephew. So we spent time over Christmas and New Year's in Egypt. And I think one of the most exhilarating experiences there, not only were we along the Nile River, we went to Luxor, Cairo, Luxor, Aswan. But on New Year's Day, we all went up in hot air balloons, and we were able to see Egypt and see the tops of temples from a hot air balloon. And that was just like, it was surreal. It was absolutely surreal. So that would have to be my favorite experience, Egypt, by far. Egypt.
Wow.
Yes.
Egypt? See, I want to go to Egypt, and I just haven't had, I don't know. We'll talk about my traveling stuff in a minute,
Yes.
but
Yes.
let me ask you, did I missed a little bit of it, and just so for the sake of the audience, the Wi-Fi was trying to be,
was Wi-Fi. The
difficult.
Wi-Fi was Wi-Fi.
I was listening to you, then it said bye. But anyway, so you mentioned your son in Senegal, and which is crazy to me that in the 4th grade they were like, "Let's go," and I'm like,
Yes.
I think my mama would have had a heart attack. But you were like, "Okay, let's go."
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
I have to give a shout out
And
to the name of that school. It's the Watts Learning Center, and they still do that to this day. They still take their students on an international trip every other year. They're a top-notch charter school in South LA.
Yes. Where is it located? Because I'm curious.
So they were on Broadway and like 95th, but they have other locations now. They've expanded. They were pretty new at the time when my kids were there. Yeah.
And even just going back to what I was saying, how liberating is that? And how forward thinking is that? I think for a school in Watts to say we're going to take our kids to the continent. How many other students went? Did they all go?
No, so it was open to all. Like I said, they decided that just the 4th graders would have this opportunity. So it was open to all of the 4th graders. I think there were some things you had to do. That you had to participate in fundraising, but I mean, just out of pocket, it was just little to nothing because they had lots of sponsors and folks who got behind the group, to go. It was called the Passport to the World program. So a lot of good funding came, to underwrite the cost, but we also had to put a little skin in the game, and we did fun stuff. We did a fashion show and sold stuff, and it worked. So I think they all had the opportunity, but those who had the time to go and wanted to kind of follow the process got on that plane.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'll share this quick story, and then we're going to go to commercial. Our trip for elementary school graduation was to the East Coast. We went to New York. Nice. And I feel like we went to New York and some other cities, but same thing with the fundraising and everything. But literally, I will just say it was like a big deal. Like my parents at first were like, no, you can't go. And I went to a parochial school. So the pastor and the principal were like, look, we're going to fundraise and get her a ticket. If we can pay for her to go, can she go? And they finally let me go. But again, that sometimes for a lot of us as Black folk, there's some fear. My mom to this day has not been on a plane to this day.
Really?
So, that fear is big too, I think, for a lot of us. But I'm glad that 2 things: the school had the wherewithal to be like, we're going out the country, and you didn't let that fear, because you could have been like, oh, my son, no, but you said, oh, let's go. Right. So I really want to give you a shout out, because A lot of us let that fear take over us. We're going to go to a break. Did we go to a break
Okay.
already? Well, I was gone, or did we not? I
No,
don't know anything. I'm just
I,
here.
I was
Okay.
talking the whole time through.
Hallelujah. And I thank you for that. So let's go to commercial. When we come back, I have some more questions for you. So hang tight.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
Are you ready for enlightening conversations that transcend boundaries? Get ready for Conversations with Clergy, brought to you by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network. In partnership with the world's largest publicly funded international collaboration, the HVTN is dedicated to evaluating vaccines to prevent HIV and COVID-19, but their impact doesn't stop there. The HVTN is at the forefront of advancing vaccinology, social and behavioral sciences, statistics, immunology, and even contributing to the research on tuberculosis and COVID-19 vaccines. By supporting Conversations with Clergy, the HVTN not only brings you thought-provoking discussions, but also contributes to the global effort to combat infectious diseases. Tune in, stay informed, and be a part of the change. Conversations with Clergy, supported by the HVTN, empowering conversations, empowering lives. Join us in this journey of knowledge, understanding, and progress. Conversations with Clergy, proudly brought to you by the HIV Vaccine Trials Network, because together we can make a difference.
Because self-care should be luxurious. Luxe Noir.
Elevate your entertainment with Watch Vim. Discover the ultimate online streaming destination. Get an auto-renewing monthly subscription for unlimited content on all devices. Join us in supporting a Black-owned streaming platform that brings top-tier entertainment. Let the streaming excitement begin at Watch Vim, your seamless experience for endless entertainment. Stream online or download the Watch Vim app now.
Hey pilots, did you know that you can now catch the electrifying sounds of Bulletin Flight Radio anywhere you go? Yes, you heard it right. Tune in to the high-flying beats and soaring melodies by downloading the TuneIn app on your mobile device. Just search for Bulletin Flight Radio and hit play. It's that easy. And if you have a smart device like Alexa or Google, just say, "Hey Google," or "Alexa, play Bulletin Flight Radio on TuneIn." Experience the rush of adrenaline wherever you are. Listen to Bulletin Flight Radio on TuneIn using your Alexa or Google devices. Soaring through the skies has never sounded this good. Don't miss out on the ultimate musical journey. Tune in now to Bulletin Flight Radio on TuneIn and let the music take you on an unforgettable ride. Get ready to elevate your listening experience. Brought to you by Bulletin Flight Radio.
All right, and we are back. Listen, I'm over here with this tripod. We gonna make it do what it do. I appreciate all of you for your patience. Thank you, Arnetta, for holding it down while me and my technical issues. But we good. The cell phone is coming through. The laptop and the what? AT&T, we finna have a conversation. And Arnett, I don't know if you know, you probably do, but AT&T is supposed to be the bougie Wi-Fi. What happened? What's the
Oh,
problem?
wow.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So traveling often exposes us to diverse cultures and perspectives. Can you share an example of a particular travel experience that you've had that really changed or shifted your worldview? Maybe you had a belief about a thing, anything, and then you went to a country and you said, you know what? I was 100% wrong.
Mm, mm. Wow. You know what? So many of my experiences have just been so brand new. I can't say that there was something that, I just was like, oh, that's just totally debunked now. But I can share an experience that changed my worldview a little differently.
Okay.
Now, the way we think about aging here, particularly as Black women, some of us are inevitably going to age without a spouse, with or without children, but the aging. So I spent time in Tanzania, and when we do certain types of trips, we look for opportunities to connect with the community. I mean, that's always going to be part of it. I rarely go somewhere to do the, resort style travel. That's just not what I'm interested in. If I just want to sit at a resort and hear the waves splash, I can go to Santa Monica for that. So when I go and travel, particularly to a country in Africa, there's going to be some community connection, some conversation, some digging deep, maybe it's at somebody's house, backyard, at a church. I mean, that's going to happen when I travel. So this particular trip to Tanzania, one of our guides there invited us, and told us in advance, why don't you all come and connect with the widows at our church? Like, oh, okay, we can do that. They'll fix you all lunch, and we can have you have a good conversation with the widows. That's like one of the church's ministries, to see after the widow, just like the Bible instructs us to. For those of you familiar with the Bible, it says look after widows and orphans. It's spelled out in the Bible. So this particular church
Wow.
that we visited in Tanzania, they have a widows ministry. So they welcomed us. We came in and they had the food laid out, and the way they connect with each other, they have become each other's support. All of
Mm-hmm.
these women have lost their husbands, you know. They have found ways to create new community amongst themselves, and continue to thrive, continue to share what they have with each other, cook together, they sew together, they have reconnected, their families. Everybody had their own families once upon a time, but now the dynamic has changed, and nobody has gone into seclusion and just counting down the days. No, they have restructured and recreated a new type of community for themselves, and it was so beautiful. They were even
Yeah.
all dressed alike. They had all made dresses, and they were all. I have a beautiful group picture of all these widows that were there to just seeing that, it just made me feel so good and so hopeful. And it changed the way, because we think about, okay, am I going to have enough money to retire? Or my kids, what are they going to do with me if I can't take care of myself? But we should think differently about what aging means. We should be willing to maybe share our space with someone else, to lighten our loads. Many hands make light work, right? We don't have to go into old age alone, and some of us will not have to, but to witness and spend time with those widows in Tanzania, it gave me new perspective on aging, as a Black woman, regardless of what the situation may be. And that was just
Yeah.
new community.
And I've heard of that concept before. I feel like it's catching on in the United States because you're right. I think that other cultures, other people already knew that that made the most sense to do, right? To kind
Yes.
of, okay, well,
Yes.
maybe husband is gone, or maybe I never had kids. Well, hey, let's
Right.
all live together. Like, for certain communities,
Yes.
that's natural. But for us, we're so, this American concept of, well, independence. Well, I'm just here by myself. But I feel like it's
Mm-hmm.
catching on. I talked to someone at an event over the holidays, over Christmas, and she was talking about, yeah, we're going to buy some property in Mexico, and get a bunch of women together, and as they age, and we're going to do all what you just
Yeah.
pretty much what you said. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
was just so cool.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was going to share with you, I have a friend from Tanzania. She is so
Okay.
interesting. I need to have her on one day. If you
Mm-hmm.
look at her, she's Indian.
Okay.
And she cooks Indian food, so she's Muslim. But she was
Mm-hmm.
like, I was raised in Tanzania. And
Mm-hmm.
she had gone to see some of her relatives, and some of her relatives are Maasai that she was sharing. And,
Mm.
so I was like, it was amazing when and I think that's the other side of traveling. You meet people and you're
Yeah.
open to what they're doing, who they are. I remember one time she came to the house and showed me how to cook Indian food. She was like, listen, this is how you make a samosa. So it's just like, I think that part of traveling also brings that out in you. Like, you're really naturally open and curious about people, about what they're doing, and in a respectful way, of course. But that's
Yes.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to even learn more about what you're talking about, how as women age, because my daughter, she's grown. I know you said your kids are grown. It's like, dang, I don't actually want her to be worried about me. Go on, live
Right.
your life.
Right.
Don't be
Right.
worried about what I'm doing. Y'all, I got to come
Mm-hmm.
back home because mama can't walk no more. Like, girl, go on. I'll figure, I want to be okay.
Uh-huh.
And she also be okay. So those kinds of things are very real conversations. So I'm glad you were able to see that, and maybe we have to
Yes.
replicate that here.
Yes, yeah, to see it in act, to see it play out. We definitely heard of it and like, oh, okay, that's a cool concept. But to see it was just amazing. It was just amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're about to close out. That went
Oh,
fast. I told y'all
wow.
these episodes go
Oh my
quick.
gosh.
What advice would you give to someone, a black woman? I'm gonna say a black woman because this show was really
Okay.
about black women who
Mhm.
are interested in traveling and really
Mhm.
don't know where to start. What would you tell them?
Mm. I would say, we'll all go through seasons where maybe we have the time, but we don't have the money. And then there are other seasons where we have the money, but maybe not the time. You got to find your sweet spot. You got to find a sweet spot. There are going to be some seasons there where you'll have a little bit of both, and you need to decide, prioritize travel in those times. And travel doesn't have to be very expensive. People always think, well, and I heard you mention I got to get my coins together. Yeah, for certain types of trips, will cost more than others, but traveling can be really, back to my exploring right here domestically. There's some beautiful places that you can travel right here in the US, right? You can go to the Grand Canyon, you can go to Sedona, you can go down to the Everglades. I mean, there are so many places. You can take a train to Santa Barbara. You can whatever your budget is, there's somewhere for you to go, and it will be a great experience. And I would say, if you have the desire and for some reason you just you can't do your dream trip, put something on the calendar. Put something on the calendar. Give yourself something to look forward to. And I tell you, it'll just make you feel so much better knowing that in 3 months, that's where I'll be. Even cruising. I do cruises too. Cruises can be very inexpensive. If you watch them, for $300-$400, you can spend a long weekend down in Mexico, all inclusive, your food and everything. So that's an option. So don't feel like every trip, don't look at all the posts on Instagram and think your trip has to be this fabulous, amazing trip in the Greek Isles. It doesn't have to be that. It can be somewhere just near that just takes you out of your your comfort zone into a new place to experience some new people and some new food and just a new way of life.
Absolutely. I thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been amazing. I might have you come back. And you know how back in the day you used to see people travel and they come back and they do a little slideshow. I might have you come back with some pictures and show us, what you did. But I
Well,
thank you
this is
so
what
much
I
for
do.
coming.
I do books for every trip. I just do a photo book. I say, look, when I'm
Mhm.
gone, here's my kids, grandkids, great, they can see the roads I traveled, right? So
That is, see, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful. Thank you so much. And the next trip, make sure just let me know so I could go because I want to go. I want to travel with you.
well, we're doing Morocco in November, so that's actually a trip. My congratulations on getting your doctorate
Thank
degree.
you. Thank
Congratulations.
you.
My daughter's getting
Yeah.
one too. Yeah, so
Oh,
I'm taking her to Morocco in November.
I know that's right. Woo. All right. Well, thank you so much. Well, if I can make it, I'm gonna try. I might have to come join you. But thank you so much for joining. And I'm about to close out, so I'm gonna do my little closeout spiel. So, all right, y'all, you know where to find me. I'm on social media, LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Not so much on TikTok, because baby, they probably gonna turn TikTok off. I don't know if you know, but the bill was signed to turn off the TikTok, so we might not have TikTok no more. Anyway, I also have a website, www.nicoledvick.com. You can purchase my books from my website. You can find me on other people's podcasts. I have a Spotify playlist of those podcasts. You can see YouTube videos. There's my latest book. I'm in this anthology, Triumph in the Trenches, but there's some other books there as well. My first book, second book, all those things are there. Is that it? I think that's everything. Website, book, social media. Yep. All right, y'all. I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.